Made possible by NordVPN. Click the link below and get an exclusive deal with a huge discount and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Introducing our new, glorious, breathtaking bucket plushie. Limited quantity, available now. Along with some Punic War character pins. Buy them, or I'll marry your mother. It's your choice.
Oh, Marcellus!
This right here, this is fun.
Dignitas. Kiss me. Okay.
Yeah? What can I do for you? Well, you know how you always say Rome is the greatest civilization in the world? It bloody well is. Well, I was just wondering, what makes us so great? How did we come to be?
Yeah.
Wow, my son. Boy, let me take you on a journey to this side of the room. The
But what? How do they
story
even
of
have
Rome
those?
begins with these beautiful baby boys
Oh.
going to town on some she-wolf mommy milkers. That's gross. You're gross! Sorry, son. You're not gross. I love you. They're called
Oh.
Romulus and Remus. And when they grew up, in 753 BC, they founded Rome. But there was just one problem. They couldn't agree on which of them should be the king. But
Of
they
course.
worked it out peacefully, right? Oh,
Nope.
heavens no. Romulus caved Remus's skull in with a shovel. Here's a picture. Our first
Oh.
king committed fratricide? I know.
That's dark.
Look at his face. When's the part where we become the greatest civilization, Dad?
Pretty.
Well, you see, at first Rome was full of men. I'm talking like a real sausage party. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. So we invited some neighboring cities over for a big feast. And then we literally kidnapped all of their women. Here's a picture. Look at that one. She's like,
The humanitarian
This is messed up.
crisis
You
that
messed
these
up.
people did
sorry.
that wouldn't
I'll
have
be a better
accounted
father.
for
I
modern
promise.
day.
So then, finally, after centuries of monarchy, those tyrannical kings started getting a little too big for their britches. So we overthrew the kings and established Rome as a republic. Is that when all the killing stopped? Oh, heavens no. That's when the killing surged,
Are you
baby.
serious?
We went wild
Are
and
you
conquered the
serious?
Latin League, the Samnites, the Etruscans. Woo!
Damn.
What a rush. Dad, Rome seems pretty barbaric. You're barbaric!
Chill.
Oh, I forgot to tell you about the time a prophet told Saturn his son would one day overthrow him. So Saturn literally ate his own son
Okay, I've heard
seconds
about this
after he was
before.
born.
I've heard about this.
I don't want to see a picture. Here's a picture.
Oh, I did not
Look at that.
expect that
That's
picture
messed
to
up,
be
man.
so
Are we
graphic.
really this uncivilized? Hey! If we were so uncivilized, would we use communal toilets where we all fart and poo together in one big stinky, steamy, dirty toilet room?
Yes.
Dad, we would. Clean your butt with a
Cumulus is
sponge,
actually
Cumulus.
right.
But all these guys just used it. What's wrong with your son, bro? I don't want to be Roman. This is so weird. You're weird. Sorry, you're not weird. I'm sure you're probably fine.
Bro, you should put poo on him.
The Roman Republic, a nation that, since its foundation, had been stabbing necks all the way down the Italian peninsula. But this isn't the famous Roman Empire that ruled
Yeah,
the known
no.
world. Not yet anyway. This is a relatively juvenile Rome, still just a regional power. In 264 BC, the big daddy of the Western Mediterranean
Really?
was
You have to
Carthage.
say it that way?
Let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
Carthage was founded in
Rewind.
814 BC, when some Phoenicians in Tyre had a mega surplus of goods and decided to export those goods across the Mediterranean.
Whoa!
They became the dominant trading power in the region, and to support their growing trade network, the Phoenicians established a number of colonies, one of which was Carthage. Therefore, Carthage began its life as a Phoenician trade colony, and the Carthaginians were actually Phoenicians. Or, if you're a Latin-speaking Roman, they were Punic.
Makes
Hence
sense.
the name of the video. Over the centuries, Carthage gradually expanded and became the region's base of power. Just like Rome, Carthage was a semi-democratic republic with its own senate and judiciary. But there were also some pretty hefty differences between the two. While Rome was big into farming and stabbing people in the neck, the Carthaginians, on the other hand, just like their Phoenician forefathers, had built their power through trade and navigating the waves.
Okay.
They went here and there, selling ivory tusks, gold, and slaves. And as a result, they were rolling in it. Whenever they weren't busy swimming around in their copious hoards of money, in their spare time, they also possibly enjoyed sacrificing their children to Baal, the god of...
Wow,
Just
I
check my
never
notes.
During that time.
Yes. Plant fertility.
Are you
Oh boy,
serious?
these figs aren't looking too hot. maybe if I throw my son into a burning pit of fire, they'll grow. Have you tried
Learn
watering
how
them,
to
Dad?
water them.
No, we'll try that second. As a result of all their trading, Carthage had emerged as one of the Mediterranean superpowers. But wait, they said. Rome? What the heck is
What
that?
do you mean? It's right
It's a
there,
pretty
you
obscure
dumbass.
little country that you've probably never heard of. But this spunky young nation was about to upset the entire region's balance of power. Initially, the two sides enjoyed relatively friendly relations, and
Greek
had even signed a couple
smell.
treaties. But it was a
Why are you
relationship
doing
that
this?
was practically destined
Bro, yeah,
to turn
Rome,
sour.
you have
See, Rome had a thing
technically the
where they
same
liked
gods
to
as
aggressively
them.
expand their boundaries, often viewing such expansion as a defensive act. Kinda like when you kill your neighbor
different names.
because you knew eventually they would have tried to kill you
Jeez!
first. Meanwhile,
If
Carthage
you
was
fire a
extremely
rocket launcher
protective of
at
its
him, isn't
wealthy
that just
trade
gonna
network.
explode his whole
So
house?
if you put a very strategically important island between them, well, 2 + 2 equals war. Tensions rose, and the two sides began viewing each other with increasing disdain.
Damn.
The hard-working Romans looked across the water at the money-hungry Carthaginians and said, "Look at those dishonest crooks. Bet they've never done an honest day's work in their lives." And the
Honestly,
Carthaginians
yeah.
looked back and said, "Look at those simple-minded brutes. Bet they've never sacrificed a baby in their lives."
No, because they don't sacrifice
While war
babies.
between
They
the two
train them to
superpowers
go
seemed
into the
inevitable,
army.
the event that finally triggered it was a little
So that they have
unexpected.
more manpower.
The whole thing began with a few simple mad lads on a wild night out.
Oh!
These mad lads are called the
Massacre.
Mamertines. They were Italian mercenaries employed by the tyrant of Syracuse. Here. But when he died, his successor said, "Sorry, fellas, we don't need any big burly men with sharp sticks
Keep
anymore.
them in
You
case
can all go
you
home."
do.
The Mamertines, as it turned out,
Stupid.
didn't want to go home. So instead, they went to the nearby town of Messana and said,
Great.
"Hey man, we are but
This
poor
means
little buff
that
boys
is
without a home.
is
May we
it
come in?"
These guys
Aw,
is
poor fellas. Sure thing.
land.
Ah,
Oh,
Just so long as you promise
Now
not
it's
to
about-
massacre all of us.
oh, yep, they're laughing because they
We
totally
promise.
are. They are.
The
That's why
Mamertines
they're.
then massacred all of them.
Do
Well,
it.
not all of them, just the men. And they stole their homes and families. Ha! This is my house now. This is my best dad ever mug now. And you guys are my new family. Son, wanna go
Why?
play catch with your old
Do you have a
papa? You're not my real
computer?
dad!
They don't have
Ugh,
this stuff.
Teenagers. Am I right, dear? You're not my real husband. Ugh, I'm so trapped in this marriage. Then
Leave.
get out! No.
Ads. Ads. I hate them. Come on, go. Skip ads.
By the Mamertines, and they began raiding up and down the Syracuse coastline. When the new ruler of Syracuse saw this, he wasn't happy. The Syracusans began fighting back, and in response, the
Love
Mamertines
these
said,
flags,
"Oh crap, they're fighting back?
Flags are really
What do
cool.
we do? Quick, we'll convince the Carthaginians to come and save us." Oh no! We're in trouble. And we need a big, strong empire to come and rub our bellies. Why are you saying it like that? If I was a big, strong empire, I think I'd like to be seduced.
Wow.
See? It's working! The Carthaginians had long dreamed of controlling all of Sicily. They had been fighting Syracuse and their Greek influence on the island for centuries. And now, here was a great opportunity to get one over on them. So Carthage promptly answered the Mamertines' cry for help and sent a force to garrison Messana. As it turned out, however, some within the ranks of the Mamertines weren't too happy with the occupying Carthaginians, and they sent out a second cry for help to Rome. When it reached the Roman Senate, they were a little more hesitant. Going to help the Mamertines ran the risk of triggering an all-out war with Carthage,
yeah,
and they had
water.
only just finished conquering the Italian peninsula, so they were kind of
Oh,
tired.
that's where we are.
Plus, the Mamertines were all the way across the water.
Yep,
They
water.
had never made a leap like that before. So you would
And
assume
he's dead.
that to avoid any conflict with Carthage, the exhausted Romans would probably sit this one out.
Nope.
But you would assume wrong.
Okay,
Rome
that's not what
just
I
couldn't
thought.
resist
but
a good
sure.
chance for war. Why? Well, there's something you gotta understand about Rome.
They always
See,
love war.
as a republic, they were hell-bent on preventing any one man from ever gaining too much power. And so rather than having one leader, Rome had two, called consuls, who shared power. These consuls could also only serve for 1 year at a time before new consuls were elected. These measures to limit the powers of the consuls were noble, but had an interesting side effect. The consuls knew they had just 1 year to
counter
try
out of
and gain as
nowhere.
much
I don't
glory and
even know if they
prestige as
use the
possible,
Gregorian
something that was
calendar.
very important in
They're
Roman
gonna
society.
try.
And the best way of gaining glory and prestige? Military victory, of course.
Knew
The
it.
Roman
It's kinda
political
predictable.
system basically ended up encouraging these consuls.
Look at these rules. Roman politics and military were intertwined. Senators were also often military generals. Consuls led the armies. Okay. 1 year. Yeah, they already explained this. Had to go and crack as many schools as possible. That's just
To
funny.
go out and be as aggressive as your Italian grandmother when you don't eat all
I
the
don't have
spaghetti.
an Italian.
And so the
grandmother.
glory-seeking consuls convinced the people to vote in favor of going
Oh
to
my
Messana.
god.
And
The amount of where was what up?
all the spaghetti.
Where?
And so the glory-seeking consuls convinced the people to vote in favor
The amount of let's go on my screen is crazy. It hurts my eyes.
of going to Messana. And in they went.
Okay.
Upon the arrival of the
How'd
Romans,
you
the
get there? I
Carthaginians in the
thought you
city,
don't know where
amongst the
boat.
confusion,
How?
were
Okay,
forced
maybe they
to
do,
leave.
but
Now,
they
in
don't really
contrast
have
to Roman
any
aggression,
boats.
the Carthaginian military had a slightly different philosophy. All right,
Really?
kids, listen up.
Okay.
If you want to grow up to be Carthaginian military leaders,
They don't.
there's a few things you have to
What are
understand.
these
If you
symbols?
fail to succeed on the battlefield, that's a crucifixion.
Is this
Showing
a-
cowardice,
is this
that's a
woman?
crucifixion.
Who-
Hello,
what
sir.
is this?
What are you doing here?
Yeah,
Aren't you meant to
see
be in
these symbols?
Messana?
What are
Yeah, but
these?
the Romans showed up.
What are those?
So you just left? Sure did. Oh, you better believe that's a crucifixion.
What are nails?
The
No,
Roman
what
consuls
going
were
on?
awarded for victory, and therefore tended to be aggressive go-getters. By contrast,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Carthaginian generals were brutally punished for failure, and so they tended to be more cautious and restrained. This dynamic is helpful for understanding some of the crazy things that happened during the Punic Wars. So, the Romans have crossed over to Messana, and now there was some red on the island.
Oh,
Hit that panic button. This turn of events was unacceptable to both Carthage and Syracuse, so the traditional enemies teamed up to kick the Romans off their island.
orange.
They
This
surrounded the
flag.
city and said, "Hey, you
That
jerks,
flag is
this
very
isn't your
questionable
island.
to me.
Come out of there at once."
Okay, we're coming.
See, Phil, you just gotta speak
I
with
think they're
authority.
coming to kill
That's what
you.
being an alpha male's all about. Hey, man.
Yep, knew
Oh,
it.
you brought your weapons and armor? No, I didn't mean... Oh, crap. Out the Roman legions came to engage the Carthaginians in battle, and they sent them packing. With the Battle of Messana, whether intended or not, by going to help
Oh.
the Mamertines, the two sides had just slipped into an all-out war. With the initial Roman victory, towns across Sicily, including Syracuse, began switching allegiance, because being a winner is more fun. But the Carthaginians weren't about to just give up that easily. In 262 BC, they began building up their forces
gonna
at
attack
Agrigentum.
Malta?
So the Romans, being aggressive go-getters, aggressively go-got them. The Romans immediately
Why don't we
laid
see
siege, hoping to
some-
starve out the Carthaginian garrison. However, because this was the first time Rome had been fighting outside the Italian peninsula,
Soldiers from
across the water,
Syracuse.
they struggled to supply their forces.
Yum.
And before long, the Romans were as starving as the
Yum,
Carthaginians
it's
they were
nothing.
besieging. They had to forage for food, leaving them open to ambush. And when
Oh.
Carthaginian reinforcements arrived, creating a double siege, things
You can
got
do
really
that?
bad. Everybody starved each other for months until nobody could take it anymore, and they all finally came out for battle, which Rome won. Here's the report from the recent siege at Agrigentum, sir. We killed 30,000 while only suffering 7,000 losses? That's amazing! We're the best!
Wow.
Yes, sir. Whoops, those are the wrong way around.
Oh, damn.
What? We lost 30,000? We're the worst! But we won, right? Yes, sir. But we also got our asses kicked. Yes, sir. So are we the best or the worst? Yes, sir.
Okay.
The Romans won at
That's an
Agrigentum
interesting
because
way
they
to
were aggressive
respond.
go-getters.
Okay, see you next time, maybe part 2. Bye.